Have you ever wondered what it's like to be a real life medium? Then this is the podcast for you. In this show, you'll learn how to open your heart to spirit, hear adventures I've experienced as an award-winning psychic medium and teacher. Plus, I'm going to give you some psychic information and insight into what the future holds for our increasingly crazy world. Tune in every Friday and get ready to connect to the other side. I'm Jen, and I'll be your guide starting right now. All right. We have an awesome guest on the singing. I always call the Singing Medium podcast because that's what it used to be called, but it's actually the Spirit Mentor podcast now. So we have an amazing friend of mine, someone I look up to, I admire, I call every couple of months to help me out. His name is Jon. Jon, welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. When did we meet? I was thinking about this the other day. Did I do a reading for you a long time ago? Is that how we met?
I'd say at least, a year or more. I mean, time's been flying, so it easily could be at least a year or two.
Yeah. I was thinking about that. I'm like, how did I meet this guy? He just randomly came into my life. So grateful that you're in my life. But I think I did a reading for you. And then I found out that you were a shaman. I was like, oh, I like this because I need help all the time. So I'm like, who am I going to call? And ever since, I think I've had 3 or 4 maybe sessions with you, could be a little bit more. And every time I would say, I'm not just saying this to whatever, I actually find them very transformational.
Mm-hmm.
And they're always very spirit led. I'm like, okay, the spirit's like, call Jon. Okay. He's going to help you get through this thing. And then we keep going. So yeah, I'm so glad that you're here, and I'm excited for people to find out more about you, who you are, what you love to do. How did you maybe become a shaman? And you've done a lot of amazing things recently.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm always grateful and always humbled. As long as I've been doing it, 25 plus years, seeing clients. But I'm always, every day, every session, grateful and humbled at the grace, essentially, the sort of it comes through. You know what I mean? I can always count on something coming through, even if beforehand my brain is like, I have no idea. I don't know. It sort of really doesn't even matter what is going on, but the work comes through and it's beautiful. So it
comes through so strong too. I was telling people about your Destiny, the Destiny session we had a couple of weeks ago, and how much it started to change already too. And everyone's like, I want one of those.
It's the best. It's my favorite thing.
Yeah. But before we get into that, I want to explain, I'm sure you could do a better job than me, that it is for a healing journey to seek out a shaman or to want to work with a shaman. It's for healing purposes. Obviously, it's not just to, people want to heal. And that was one of the reasons why I reached out to you, is because we're all on a healing journey. But I was like, you have to be kind of cautious, especially in my personal journey, of who you allow into that position to help you. And you're one of the people that I trust. You have to be, it's very careful that you have to So
discernment always. I mean, it's one of the main things in life. And no, healing is freeing. And I like to say that what healing really means is freedom and empowerment, right? So freeing yourself from influences that go against what you're wanting to experience, and the power to be able to ask and receive those experiences most efficiently and effectively. And if you can do that, then you are healed. You don't have to, whether it's a physical thing or a mental thing or relationship thing or work or resources, money. As long as you're free and in your power, you have a much higher probability of succeeding at play, creating your life, right, the way you want it to be. And so yes, this work goes right to the core of what would be getting in the way of that, what would be influencing you from a soul level, a subconscious level, that would be making it harder than it needs to be to ask and receive what you want in life. And any like you said, anything other than that is could be fun and interesting and entertaining and cool and also, all these
Mhm.
wonderful experiences can happen. But when people come to me, I keep it very simple and I keep it very much at that core. I'm not a very entertaining
Yeah.
um, person, I don't think, but it's like, we get it done.
Yeah,
We get what needs
I
to
don't
get
care
done.
about the entertaining part. You get results.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
sometimes the things that you say, I'm like, oh, I didn't think of that. Like you'll say, you don't have to save the world, and I'm like, oh, I didn't think of that. Or you
yeah,
said like last time, like have more fun. I'm like, oh my God, I haven't been having fun, right? And like just like these
yeah.
simple things that you say, even though what you do is powerful and life shifting, it's like just like you're a normal guy. And you're just like, hey, how about have fun? But you're using all this, ancient wisdom and power that you've been trained in for like 25 years. But
Yeah.
it's like so simple. You know what I
Which
mean?
is
Like,
the core, right? And then
yeah.
it's nice to be able to have words to say. Like I like to think that I do a pretty good job of explaining things
Yes.
and the analogies and things like I think what you're referring to, which I love most about this work, the way I do it is the reframing. The like, are you even barking up the right tree? Like you're
Yeah.
coming to me with this problem, and you think it's like all these branches, and it's like you've been working on all of the different things, and it's like, oh, but wait a second, it's not even that tree. We're really dealing with a problem over here. I love that. I just
Yeah.
love the part of this work, a part of being a shaman that I think I've enjoyed most in really my whole life, because I was like this as a kid, is looking at it in a way nobody else is, right? Or twisting. I always call it twisting people's heads. They're like really certain
Yeah.
about this kind of thing, and then you show up and you go, oh, it's over here, and they kind of go, what? Even me,
Yeah.
even looking at me walking down the street, no
Yeah.
one's gonna think I'm a shop, like have anything to do
No.
with any of this stuff. And it's super fun for me to be
Yeah.
able to go, yeah, this is what I do. So yeah, it's kind of wild.
Yeah,
Good
I've always
stuff.
been interested in shamanism, but and I've worked with a couple of shamans, but like you've had the most impact, I would say. So,
Thank
do you want to maybe share a little bit how you got into it? I'm sure you get asked this all the time, but how did you get into it?
Yeah, no, I think it's a fun story because so I think you're fundamentally a person in the village. I speculate there's one out of every 200 people or so, right? Going back to primal
Yeah.
primal human existence that are born with these gifts,
Hmm.
just like yours. I mean, we're all. I consider all of us in the shamanic envelope. That have these gifts to see things other people can't see, or what have you, or think of things other people can't think of, and so I was that way as a kid. And then I had a couple of death experiences and got electrocuted and a couple of other things that happened. And each time I would get all kinds of it, like a travel through the universe, get all these answers and be like, wow, that's really cool. I really got comfortable with that world. And so I didn't have any fear after that of death or anything. So it really allowed me to kind of just be bold and say yes to everything and show up anywhere and do anything without any fear, because I wasn't afraid of death. But um, and then there was no context for it in my era, in my back in the
Hmm.
60s and 70s. So nobody knew, at least in Western culture, about this. And in other cultures, they know right away when you're like 4 years old and start training you to be a shaman, or like training you how to use these gifts
Right.
safely and so on.
Yeah.
So I went through all of that, and I tried to, I wanted to be an astronaut. I was interested in space, I think, because I was out there often. And so naturally I wanted to do that. And someone advised me to go get a degree in engineering. I did that. I tried to work for a while
Mhm.
in industries and stuff in the 90s, and didn't like it, couldn't play the game, wasn't my thing. I just and I could see through everything
Yeah.
with these gifts, and you could see the BS, and you could see you know the game, and like I just didn't want to play it the way everyone else was. So eventually in the meantime, I started studying every spiritual thing I could get my hands on. I mean, the
Okay.
New Age bookstore
Right.
was my
Yeah.
thing. People are out partying, I'm reading. Like I read every book about everything, because it was just this.
Mhm.
And I always tell people, it's like, it's not that you're necessarily learning a whole lot of new stuff. Of course you do, but it's like a lot of it's just remembering, like, oh, yeah, what this person's writing, that's what I saw. That's what I experienced. This is great.
Mhm.
And so I loved it for that. One day I went in just to kind of cut the story. So I went to a lot of like workshops. Like when I had free time, I'd go learn body work. I'd go learn breath work. I was really into everything
Okay.
I could get my hands on and so curious about it all. It was really my passion, clearly. And so one day I go into the New Age bookstore at a lunch break at work up in like Palo Alto area, and I'd pretty much read everything. So I was like, maybe there's something new. There was a new book on the table called Shaman, Healer, Sage by Dr. Alberto Vialdo. And I sort of opened it and started paging through it. It's like, whoa, this looks really good. Like it seemed comprehensively to cover everything else I'd ever studied and learned. It's like, whoa, it's all together in one cool package. And this is a guy who spent 20 plus years studying with the Q'ero Indians of Peru, a small tribe that lives at 16,000 feet in the Andes that was isolated for 500 years. So very, very interesting. Something I'd never heard of.
Yeah.
People I'd never heard of, and I loved it. And I'm like, wow, I gotta check this out. And I found out that he had a workshop at Esalen like 2 weeks after, from finishing the book, and it's impossible to get in there. But somehow they had one spot left. I called. I said, "Can I get into this?"
Wow.
And I got into the workshop, and to back up a little bit, 3 years earlier, I had been seeing this healer who was, back then you were like a chiropractor, but you did a bunch of spiritual work as a way to kind of be legit. Right. So this guy was amazing, Dr. Richard Baldwin. He's still working. He's just phenomenal. And he fixed a lot of my physical issues, a lot of things, and saw a lot of things, gave me a lot of information. And one day I went in 3 years earlier, just mind you, than this picking up Alberto's book. I went into Dr. Baldwin and I said, he goes, "What do you want to work on today?" And I'd already worked on all my obvious stuff. I said, maybe we could figure out what I'm really here to do. What's my purpose in life? I hate my job. I hate this work. I got to figure out something else, to make a living. And he goes off into an altered state, and he comes back and he goes, "The guides are giving me the words mediator of souls between the worlds." And he goes, I go, "I don't know what that means." It's like a cross between a priest and a lawyer. I'm trying to picture the business card, right? Like, what is this job?
Yeah.
And he goes, "I don't know either, but you'll figure it out someday." So fast forward 3 years, I finish Alberto's book. I go to his workshop at Esalen. I could see that his seat was the one, it had a wolf skin on it. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna sit next to him because I want to be close to it was just my way of doing things. And he sits down and he looks at everybody. He goes, "A shaman is just a mediator of souls between the worlds."
Come on.
Yeah. So, I need baseball, but I need stuff to be obvious. This is the way I am. I try to stay really thick. I don't like to float out. You have to kind of hit me over the head to get me to actually notice them.
Yeah.
And I go, "Oh my God, really? No way. Not me. Not this guy. I mean, look at me. I can't be a shaman. I'm just
Yeah.
white boy anyway, but I go, okay, well, I don't know, anything about it. So I listened to the workshop, and we did a little exercise. I think you'll love this, because we did this exercise where it was just it was like an introductory. At Esalen, they do these 3-day introductory workshops to get people to sort of sign up for their whole program, which was a 4-year program at the time.
Okay.
This Healing the Light Body School for Shamans with Alberto's and the Q'ero. And so we would put our hands on a volunteer and have to say what we see.
Right. Yep.
Right. Classic. And somebody gets up there and, the people who are really into it, right? I see a red triangle and this and that. I'm like, oh God. And he calls on me, and I'm like, oh man, this is going to be a disaster. I don't see anything. I don't do this stuff. And I go up there and I put my hands on it, and I'm like, okay, I just got to make up some, I got to get creative. and in my mind's eye, I saw these black fingers or snaky looking things coming off the person's mind. So I said that. I go, I just see some, he's like, okay, great. Sit down. That was it. It was just for, it was just a demonstration of some kind. And so I chased him down at lunch. I go, "Alberto, I think this is the work I'm supposed to do because of the 3 years earlier thing."
Yeah.
I go, "But I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh no, totally. You got it. Like you nailed the reading on that woman, because entities, when they're attached or heavy energies attached to your spine,
Mm-hmm.
the spinal cord, and that's what they look like. They look like sort of black energy.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay. So I signed up for his class, and I like took the 4-year class in like 2 years and just accelerated through it, because it's just how I
Wow.
and I'd done a lot of work. I'd learned so many other things like breath work, and it
Yeah,
wasn't
of
like
course.
I was starting from scratch. So
Yeah.
that was it. Day one, like from the class, we get our mesas and we go through the training and we get initiated. Like it's a big deal.
Mhm.
It's intense.
Yeah.
It's not for the faint of heart at all, and it's fraught with opportunity and danger. They say it's not an easy job. Let's just put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I was nervous. I'm still nervous. I get nervous all the time. It's just my nature. But there was this woman in class that had like a double PhD in psychology, and she was this imposing, dark figure. Like
Mm-hmm.
everyone was intimidated by her. She was serious, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
just like a little kid at the time, basically, it feels like. And she's like, okay, we got to do practice sessions with each other. She walks up to me and she goes, I want you to do my, like literally like that. I want you to do my session. I'm like, oh, okay, this is it. Like I'm going to day one,
Yeah.
it wasn't day one, but it was like the first class. And I'm like, this is it. Like I'm going to fail so miserably. I'm done. Like I'm out of here.
You're gonna kick me out.
Like she's going to eat me alive. And I went and did the session. I opened my mesa just like I do now, and choose the stones. And I did the work, and I just sat there and I just did what I was supposed to do. And I pretty much was out of the way, because that's a
Yes.
key to the thing.
Yeah.
And I came up with, just like with our sessions, I came up with a few things. This is what I saw. This is what we cleared. This is what happened. And she goes, you're amazing. Like I've worked on this for 30 years and you're the first person to actually ever get it. I'm like, really? Like,
Yeah.
oh my God. And I was, and then I started seeing clients, and it started work, like people got results. And so they just started telling other people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all it's ever been. That basically is word of mouth because of that. And it's still working. And as long as it's still working, I'm still doing it because people are still asking. So that's it. That's how that's the story.
That's awesome story. I have people come to me at psychic readings, psychic fairs for $20, 15 minutes. And they say to me, what's my purpose? And I'm like, nope, here's your money back. Cause I'm not telling you in 15 minutes, but you basically like did that with another, but it's so funny. Right. So I would say from my experience with it, like working with you, that this is something that you can definitely figure out. Like if you don't know what your purpose is, like you can literally, I feel like that would be something that you like, I don't want to say you removed problems, but it feels like you've removed problems like that I didn't know were there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think
And
that's it. People come to me, usually in my experience now, after all these years and all these sessions, it tends to be the thing that hasn't been found yet by other methods or healers. It just is that way. And I tend to be the shaman. It turns out like a lot of people who came to me were healers of some sort, or didn't know it yet, or did know it, but ended up like, I go, oh yeah, like you actually have these gifts too, or whatever. And then they would go to the class and everything. So it doesn't surprise me when even people who've been, to doing this work with other people or whatever for like 30 or 40 years, they'll come to me and it's like, I don't know what I'm going to add or whatever. Like, again, I'm always wondering if it's ever going to work. And then something will come and it's like, oh, wow. Even I'm going, wow, that's really good, because I never would have figured that out. And it's really this thing. And they go, oh my God. And it's like, it makes sense. Like nobody else caught it up until this point, because it's this weird, hidden, convoluted, like that actually seemed like a good thing, not a bad thing. And it turned out to be the thing that was blocking me. So yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. So like, how would someone know? I mean, I know the end, but how would you know? Like for me, I'm like a spirit-led person. So I'm like, I just know when I need someone to help remove something. Like you talk about entities, right? Or like had that issue.
Yeah, you're removing negative influences of any kind.
Yeah.
It's old wounds, ancestral stuff, entities, crystallized energies from old wounds, like someone's had a bum shoulder their whole life, and we go in there and all of a sudden I can see that they got a spear thrown in there 3 lifetimes ago, and that wound never energetically healed and was removed. And so we just remove the energy of the spear, and then all of a sudden the shoulder's fine. Like it can be like that. It's like anything that's interfering with your freedom, influencing you in a way that's
100%. Like,
getting
so
in
you
the way.
come like for entity removal, or your beliefs that are stopping you in the way. And
Old
one thing that
myths,
for me,
no
one thing,
pain, no gain, life's a school, like these religious, cultural, familial myths. Like I don't believe those. It's like, I know consciously you don't believe that, but these myths are hidden, and they operate on you even more strongly than your beliefs, and they can contradict your beliefs. So yes, I'm worthy of love. I believe it. I've done all the positive affirmations, and yet you have a myth that says, no, you're not. And it's like, you got to clear that. But
so you said
that's
the
through
word myth.
ritual.
Where did that come from? Is that like a
The
past life?
mythic layer, we call it that, but it's probably the way to think about it is the subconscious stories that are archetypal. So not just like beliefs in your head and conscious beliefs, like I never get I always get betrayed or something like that. Any like basically you can change thousands of beliefs. There's a lot of work you could do to do that. Myths are these deeper, mostly unconscious, religious, cultural, familial, your neighborhood, societal stories that everyone kind of gets influenced by. Like if you stay in a neighborhood long enough, you start to actually think and experience things just like your neighbors, because myths are like, they're like Jung's collective unconscious. They permeate and affect you in ways that you're not even aware of, and they start to manifest. The universe makes you right, your beliefs and your myths. And so when I say like religious, well, I wasn't raised in a religion, and I don't believe in, like, I left my religion or whatever. Yeah, but the basis of the 3 major world religions, page 2, says that we were kicked out of the garden and it was woman's fault for tasting the fruit of knowledge. Like, and you go, like, you don't even have to hear that. But that's the whole reason women have been suppressed all this time. Like the feminine, like basically like that one story has, whether it was misunderstood, like it doesn't even matter, true or not true, misunderstood or not. It's like all of a sudden it's creating these experiences across the board. So that's a big one, like religion, but like family stuff, like all of your great grandparents and stuff, they might have struggled their entire life. So their story, their myth is that life is a struggle.
Yes.
Period. If it ain't a struggle, it ain't it ain't real. It ain't life. Like think of farmers, warriors and military, like, and so you go, well, I don't know why I'm struggling about everything I do is a struggle. I don't get it. Why am I, everything seems to be fine. And then all of a sudden something comes up and I'm struggling and I can't figure that out. Why? I'm doing all the positive thing. I'm doing everything else. And it's like, well, this myth, life is a struggle, needs to be removed and changed to life is a joy. Life is a playground. Like even life is a school. It's ubiquitous, right? Even the spiritual traditions, oh, we're here to learn. And once we learn, we graduate and go to a better place. And it's like, the universe will make you right. That will be your experience. But what if life is, learning happens incidentally, but what if life is just a playground? What if it's really just, we're here to play like kids in the sandbox and like create theater and experience pleasure and pain and have fun? That's a whole different story than I'm always learning lessons and I have to learn. Like life is a school. If life is a school, when do you get recess? When do you never learn? When do you get a break? Never.
Right? That's
Never.
awesome to say that people are listening here to be like, oh my God, that's me.
Oh yeah, no, these
Right?
myths are like, they're so archetypal, they're so universal. Like you only have to name a few of them, right?
They're
Or
embedded.
like
So
no pain,
embedded.
no gain.
Yeah.
No pain, no gain. Okay, that's true. I got to go to the gym. I got to hurt my muscles so I can gain. But that's not all of it. How about I gain from pleasure too? Can't we have that also be a true story? You see what I mean? And so we accept myths like water to a fish. Like Of course it's that way.
Yeah. Like a
It's like,
sponge.
and then the universe makes you right. So it's really hard to change
Yeah, yeah.
people's minds. This is a big part of the work. When they come to a session and we change these things, they're like, yeah, but that never, like, this is just the way it is for me. And it's like, yes, up until this point, the universe always makes your myths and beliefs right, and patterns. Like, it will always give you more evidence to support whatever it is you.
Yeah.
And I go, but we got to put the cart before the horse. If you want to change that, you got to change
Mm-hmm.
the underlying belief and myth and energy patterns first. And then you start to get evidence that supports the news story. And then all of a sudden, that's your argument. Yes, I'm right. It always works out for me. You know?
The one of the things I love about having the sessions with you, though, is like I didn't realize I was trying to save the world. You talked about like, I didn't even realize I was doing that, even though that's how I was showing up, but I wasn't even aware of it until you said it. I didn't even go, oh no, you're full of crap. Oh, you're right. Like it was almost
Yes,
like,
some people do. And then I
it
got
was like when you said it, it kind of left, and then you did the rest of the stuff to actually remove it. But it took about like, so for timeline purposes for people watching, like 3 months after I had that session with you is when I stopped doing the psychic prediction for the world, trying to warn everybody. So it takes time for these things. Sometimes it's instant, and sometimes it takes time. But like
it depends. It's got to turn. It depends how much momentum and how big the thing was before, and other work you're doing. Because I'll do the energetic and the mythic piece, and then give you a little bit of the psychological piece. But like, you still got to use a little discipline to not keep the old beliefs alive, and you still got to like do a lot of your own work, including the mythic homework, to really affect for the change to integrate. Because you can change energy patterns and you can change the mythic layer, but if you don't change the psychological and the physical, it can rewrite, it can undo. I think people need to understand that you can get healings, but if you don't sort of follow up and integrate and practice a little discipline around the news story, it'll sort of reestablish itself. And this is like why when my teachers say, hey, if you go to a healer that isn't well trained or doesn't hold, like we're talking about the discernment thing, can't hold space, doesn't quite differentiate between empowering and disempower, like telling you what to do versus freeing you to do, it can throw your healing back in time, like literally throw you. Like people go do like he's usually referring to like ayahuasca, like which I did a ton of as well as part of the training, and it really wasn't that necessary. But the point is, like, you go do something like that, it's really critical you have someone who can hold a tight, safe space so there's no interference.
Yes.
And if that isn't the case, or they don't quite do that facilitating right, then it can really make things worse. It can mess you up for a while. So
that's really important to say, because I know people asking me, because I've done ayahuasca as well too, and I did the San Pedro in Peru, and well, what was it like, but I remember that whole time in Peru with the shamans there, it was like we had like a Russian dude who was like, that was his job, was to maintain the space and keeping it, he was always doing this with and he would like, his eyeballs would go back in his head, and you could tell he was removing things and like transforming things, transmuting things and removing things, like he was on top of it.
It's very real and legit. When we would go to this place called Puerto Maldonado on the Madre de Dios River in Peru, near the Bolivian border, to this Eco Amazonia lodge. And we had a couple of ayahuasqueros, one of whom was Don Panduro was his name. And we would take a little boat across part of the river to an island called Monkey Island, and there was this huge beach, and we would do our ceremonies out there. And I remember one time, we'd have a group of maybe 20 people or something, students, shaman students out there. And Alberto this was part of the training of these trips to Peru, to do all this work in the Andes and the Amazon and everything, all the initiations and the sacred areas. And one night, Alberto stayed back at the lodge, and we were out there doing our ceremony. And then the next morning, he told us the story where he had decided he was going to astral travel to check on us. And Alberto came over to astral travel to check on us and hit Don Panduro's space, and he used to open space fiercely. It was amazing. It was really fun. I recordings of it and
Wow.
stuff. But
Yeah.
basically, Alberto got knocked back on his ass, right? And
Wow.
he goes, Panduro. And I was listening. I was there when he was asking him this, in
Yeah.
Spanish. He's like, Panduro, can you please, tell your team, your guards to let me in tonight so I could.
Oh.
He goes, yeah.
I
So the
see.
next day he came in, there was like rose petals, guiding him in so he could come into the space. But like that's the reality of it. Like nobody should be allowed energetically into a healing space for good reason. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I guess give me trauma just talking about it.
Yeah.
What is it with the what's with it sounds like a terrible question, but like what is it about the Andean mountains because in Peru? Do you know? Because like I went there and I've had this incredible experience, even though it was traumatic, but so much healing and this powerful healing energy. And do you know what it is? Like, is it the ancient energy, the Incas?
Yes,
what is it? The spirit
it's
mountain?
so rich. It's so rich. So there was a pre-Inca people of ruins that are still there, at least in a lot of different places, including Ollantaytambo, where we'd go up and do. I have some videos on my YouTube of me doing some talks in some of these ruins and stuff, and it's pretty high altitude and so on and so forth. First of all, I think the altitude, right? So the Sacred Valley is about 6,000 feet. Cusco's 11,000 feet. Queros is near 17,000 feet, where the Quero people have lived for 500 years.
Yeah.
There are huacas, meaning places where, the place where the veil between the worlds is thin. So it's very conducive to altered states, which is why in the jungle where there's so rich with physical, biological life and low altitude and the canopy 100 feet high, they need the plant medicine to get out of the ordinary. Yeah. Whereas the Andes, it's like it's right there. You're there all the time. We take the Quero down to the jungle from time to time with us and to do the ayahuasca, and they just go to sleep like, well, this is nothing new to me. It was kind of similar to me. After all my death experiences, it wasn't a whole lot new to me either, but it's like, so there's that. So the veil between the worlds is very thin just because of the rocks and the content and the mountain, the extreme. Like we would hike down 5,000 feet to the Urubamba River and then back up 5,000 feet to Chocorral, the sacred site. That's extreme. Like you look at our mountains and stuff and you go, oh, that's cool. That's 2,000 feet. Now double and triple that and you're looking straight up. So it's spectacular geologically in terms of energies and the people. So the Sacred Valley is called that because the river, the Urubamba River there is lined up with the Milky Way. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of cosmology in the Quero tradition going back 15,000 years. And Quechua's not a written language. This is all oral tradition, stories that are told and remembered. It's not just about telling the story to the next person. They actually have to go back and remember it as it originally was, which is a fascinating concept. But their stories involve very strong interactions with the Chaska, the Star brothers and sisters, the people who come through the Terran time and still do there. It's very well known from Shirley MacLaine's Out on a Limb story, when she was in Peru and learning to astral travel and all the alien stuff. And there's all kinds of that kind of activity down there. And even when there were like some ufologists down there studying in the Sacred Valley, because you can see them. Like I've seen these things all.
Yeah, there was aliens there.
Yeah, that kind of thing, right? And there was these ufologists, and Alberto was sitting with his teacher Don Manuel Quispe, who at the time was like the Dalai Lama of the Incas, like the head elder of the Quero, and the teacher and the shaman, and he's the one who taught Alberto largely. And they're having a little soup or whatever in the little cafe in the Sacred Valley. And Alberto overhears these ufologists, and just the night before, he and Don Manuel were sleeping on the Altiplano, and lights came into the tent and were like the orbs and the beings. And Don Manuel goes, "Did you see them last night, Alberto? The Star brothers and sisters, they came to visit us." And like, whoa, he's like, "No, wait, what? Like, what is that?" And so he gets all excited. He goes over to the table and he goes, "You guys should come talk to my teacher, Don Manuel. He knows everything about aliens," right? And they come over and they're like listening, and Don Manuel doesn't say a word, just sits there. And Umberto's embarrassed. He goes, I'm really sorry. I don't know what's wrong with you. I don't know what's wrong with the old man, but he was a stubborn, funny old guy to begin with. Great stories in Alberto's books and memoirs and stuff. And so he goes, Don Manuel, why didn't you say anything? He goes, I'm not interested in the aliens that come in the buses, the spaceships. That's all they're interested in. They want to see the UFOs. I'm only interested in the ones who come through the tear in time. So there's this distinction of ability, like I call them the alien shamans who can come through the tear in time, not the scientists who come to probe us in the buses or whatever. And so that I always, like I go, I believe in aliens because here's a culture that's 15,000 years old that knows all about it before there were computers and phones and social media and all this nonsense. Like it's straight from the horse's mouth. And then Ollantaytambo, there's this amazing, it's the last stop before you have to take a train to Machu Picchu because it's hard to walk there. You can't drive there and stuff.
No.
Beautiful town, old ruins that are like the giant stones, like nobody knows how they got there and all this stuff. It's my favorite.
That's where we were on a temple, like the sacred
you would remember exactly
all the mountains and the holes and the rocks
and the shapes of condors, like all the cool stuff and stones that have been carved with precision that today we can't copy. And I went up through the barrier you're not supposed to because you can do it for a while till the guy comes whistling and tells you to get down.
Chasing you down.
And that's just me. I'm like a bit of a rule breaker. So I climbed up the side of the mountain where there was this bench, and I have a picture of it. I have all this stuff because it's like got these like laser precision grid carvings on this carved out slat of granite. And this is where the older, like pre-Inca medicine people would sit and stare at the Pleiades. And they actually, their cosmology is that they came from there somehow at some point or related to that. And so I tried to connect or whatever. But it's long answer to your question there. It's the stories are rife with communication with the non-physical. It's because of the Kero primarily been largely unaffected by modern Western culture. These are people that still live the way they did 15,000 years ago when they came out of isolation. Nobody knew they existed, not even the other 29 million Peruvian natives, which are other tribes, but a lot of mixture of Spanish and conquistador, and European. And in fact, it's really funny because Alberto tells the story of his teacher, and they stood on an altiplano overlooking Lima, and he goes, "Hey, Alberto, look at the reservation where we keep the white people." Because Peru is one of the only places where the natives still live in the wild, so they still own. They weren't relegated to reservations like in the North Americas, right? Yes. And so it's the Europeans that live in the cities that are like, that was the joke, right? But it's so it's because of all of that this area still, is capable of producing these altered states and people that go there, right?
It really
and,
is.
If you've been to Avebury and a lot of these, and all the other places in Europe, similarly, you can have experiences like that.
What's the craziest session you've ever done?
Craziest session?
It doesn't have to be negative, but like crazy. Like there's like demons or like entity, anything crazy.
Oh man, that's a good question. That
just came out of nowhere. That's how you know I'm possessed.
Yeah. No. Well, I mean, the funny thing is, like, part of staying healthy and sane as a shaman and like trying to stay grounded is that when we open space for a session, we're all in, and then when we close the space and we're done, we try to keep it a secret from ourselves. So I literally will try to forget every session, and even if I run into the person the next day, I don't act like I even know them. It's such a tight, sacred space. So it's hard for me to just all of a sudden go, oh yeah, I remember when, But what I can say is I did do some sessions when I was in Peru, where, you know, like you were suggesting, like some entity or so, you could see that like really coming out,
Yeah.
and the person sort of struggling to release it, and then like, oh, because most of the time the way this Carol work is that it's so grace oriented because of the passing down of initiation rites and cumulative effect of student to teacher for 15,000 years. We shouldn't have to work really hard. Like, it's really meant we just show up and it like gets done.
Yep.
Regardless of my state of being, it's
Yep.
very graceful that way.
Yep.
And so we don't need the person or the client to have like a gestalt. Like, you don't need to process this physically or mentally, although some people do. They can't help it. They go through all the stuff. But this is so subtle and it's so on the energetic that the physical doesn't even matter. Like, you could do these sessions in Grand Central Station. It wouldn't matter. It wouldn't interfere. That's what's beautiful about it. And so part of it is there's not a lot of spectacular stories just because it doesn't lend itself too much to that.
Okay.
But what I can say, I'll tell you a story that came to mind immediately when you said that. One of the times we were in Peru, they have these 9 rites of initiation that really just connect you to all the previous types of shamans and healers, so that it's not just Jon, it's this accumulation of the whole team. Okay. That's what makes it work so well, I think. And they had a 10th rite that was coming through, brand new, never been passed down, and the rites would come directly from source or from something non-physical to like a single shaman, and then they would pass it down to the rest. This is how they typically happened. Okay. An initiation rite. So these were called the Taitanchi Saranti, a new rite that were considered the quote-unquote God rites. In other words, this would make like manifestation instant. Like, you'd have the ability to really dream the world into being, like, powerfully. And the first time it was given from person to person, we were there. So the Caro elder gave us the rites at this place called Chocacarao, which is 100 times bigger than Machu Picchu and still was uncovered. I was like the 80th person there in the little archaeological book. There were still like things sitting out that the archaeologists, because it was a 3 days journey, you could only walk there through like that 5,000 feet up and down. And so really special. I have pictures of this area and with the Caro there and stuff on my website and stuff. But it's like, we got these Taitanchis rites at night in Chocacarao. Nobody else for hundreds of miles. Like, literally, it was just us. And I laid down after the rites from the Caro elder, and I thought, oh, I want to see if I can manifest something. I'm playful. I'm gonna try. So I'm laying there, and the night sky is just stars everywhere. It's gorgeous. And I go, okay, I want to see a shooting star. Like, I'm going to see if I can, like, that's all I want, a shooting star. And of course, you know how that goes a lot of times. Like, it just doesn't happen.
No.
And all of a sudden I saw this light appear, grow really bright, and then disappear. And I realized, you better be careful, because it was a shooting star, but it was coming right at me.
Oh, shit.
It wasn't going across the sky. That's why it showed up at, if you see it coming right at you, it's just a ball of light that just burns. And then luckily I didn't get hit in the forehead with a little pebble or something.
Oh my God.
But so that was crazy. I thought that was crazy.
No, it's so cool. After our session, you said, like, when you said be more playful and like play with the energies.
Oh my God. I'm so glad you brought that up, because the Caro are the prime example. You know how, because I've been a lot of Native American teachers and teepee ceremonies, peyote, all the, heavy, like, serious, like, you gotta take this serious. You gotta, like, can't mess around, sit up 16 hours sitting up straight in the teepee, nauseous, and like, you can't lay down. It's like, and sweat lodges are the same. It's like, oh my God. So then we go to Peru, and we hike in the sacred sites, and every day during the training we would do a despacho ceremony, the main sort of like ceremony ritual. And that can be a little tedious. It takes an hour or two to like do all the things and the prayers, and you're kind of like, oh, but the Kero, if you observed, they take the work very serious. They don't take themselves serious. They're like children all the time.
Yeah.
And they're in the middle of the ceremony doing the prayers, putting the stuff in just with the little offerings, and joking around with each other, farting, picking their nose, the wife elbowing the husband, like just laughing and having a good time during the whole ceremony. And it's like, yes, the more fun, the more powerful. We are here to play. The world creation was really just to be kids in the sandbox going, what do you want to, like a theater, what do you want to create today? And so, I love you brought that up, because there's just no point in being heavy and serious about any of this.
I think that a lot of people get caught up in that. They forget that it's supposed to be fun, like in anything, right? Like anything you get caught up in. Like, I didn't realize, but until you said that, I was like, I didn't think of that. Do you know what I mean? So like, it's not like you just say they're the most randomest small thing, but combined with the work that you do in the shaman sessions are a powerful punch. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's like, it's super powerful. And at the same time,
it's like unbelievably powerful. And I want to tell the story quickly, how, like I said to you, the first session we did, I'm like, okay, I had this thing about getting sick, right? Which I tried to heal in ayahuasca and San Pedro, whatever. I never threw up. Actually, when we're walking in the temple, getting sick, right? Yeah, they're trying to get me to throw up. Like the shaman's like, puke in this circle, and then we're not going to walk in the temple till Jen throws up. I'm like, I'm not going to throw up. Like, I never throw up and any of these things, right? But it was like trying to get over that fear. And you're just like, just the things that you say. And then so the first session I had with you, of course, I get sick. I don't know if I told you or not. I told you now, but like before, I'm like, I'm not going to tell him. I got super sick. I'm like, well, I'm just healing, whatever. Second time, I'm in Florida, and I'm like, let's have a session with Jon in Florida the next day, because I said, you're not going to make me sick, are you? You're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I don't know. I just worried about getting sick. You're like, you're fine. I puke all night long. Like, it's so sick. And so I told Jon, I'm like, okay, just so you know, if I do another one, I don't want to get sick. You're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, why aren't you supposed to get sick after? You're like, no, that never fucking happens. Like,
it's true. Like,
I was like, what? Like, why am I getting sick then? But like the third time I didn't get sick. Like the third time I was like, okay, we're over that. But like, it's just funny that you're like, that's not normal to get sick. I always had that thing. I think people come in there, well, I don't want to get sick if I have a healing, and
that's kind of an example of a myth, right? Like, in a way, it's this, it was pretty conscious to you, but for a lot of people, it could be a subconscious thing for sure. Like purging is part of it. And that means getting a fever, getting sick, whatever, getting tired, your immune system. Like, I guess that could make some sense. But like I said, this particular work is so graceful and so non-physically oriented that I don't. It's
only when you bring out that rattle. When you bring out that rattle, I'm like, oh God. Don't throw up.
Want to hear that. No, Okay, everybody, how you feeling out there? You get okay. Let's see how many people we can get to throw up.
Right? The rattle. Oh my God.
No.
I was in the Florida time. You brought out the rattle, and every time you bring out the rattle, I get goosebumps. I'm like, oh God. And I can, the second time I felt like a snake coming out of my mouth. It was like, and I'm like, don't puke. But like, then you have to, at some point, just got to surrender. Be like, hey, just let the healing happen. Like, let the clearing happen. Let's let it happen. Because we always want to try to control things. But that's what I love about this. Is like, you know what? I'm just like, okay.
Well, it's interesting. It just made me think of something that could be a factor. And that is, look, these rattles, this is the jungle. This comes from, I got these rattles in Puerto Monterrey.
Okay.
These are used for the ayahuasca ceremonies. The Kero don't use these. This isn't like a thing.
Okay.
So, this is just part of that ability to help get into an altered state, which you and I definitely don't need. And yet I still like it. And a lot of people do get altered from that. But maybe what you were doing is like, this was actually like tapping you into the thousands of, millions of ayahuasca ceremonies where people, where puking is actually, like, to me, it's actually a fun part of it. It didn't always happen for me. But when it did, I made it spectacular. I'd laugh. I'd make everybody laugh, because I'd walk out of the hut and I'd just like,
I forgot to tell you, just hit me now, is that second night where I was sick in the hotel by myself, I was puking all night long. I had a moment right before I threw up because I had a fear of throwing up. Like it was huge for me. And all of a sudden, I'm like, you know what? Let's just do this. And I felt so much better. I got over that fear.
That's cool.
By puking.
No, that's key. I think that's really key because that happened.
Like, puke, let's just go. Like I'm not scared of it anymore. So that's like, that sounds silly, but it's huge.
No, I think it's, I would say the same thing. If I was just throwing up because I was sick, it was the worst thing ever. Yeah. But when I got in the jungle and I was in an altered state on the ayahuasca and like everything's like psychedelic and everything's tripped, and then you like you puke, you're like you're the witness, right? So you're not actually going through the horrific feeling of actually doing it. You're more watching it, and that's what I mean by like I would make myself laugh because of the noise that would come out and in the jungle would be, and it's like that changed my whole appreciation of that process forever. Like now I kind of have fun with it, you know. It hasn't, I haven't gotten sick like that since I can remember, but it's all very interesting.
I love this. I recommend you to everybody. I know you're,
but everybody's still, no, I think an important thing is like, this reminds me of a point, even with regards to the results and stuff, like everybody's different. Like it's an infinite spectrum of where people are and how they process and how many things are going on and what the DNA influences. Like it's so varied that you can't, we used to say, and we were actually trained this way. And I sometimes I forget, but like, it's like, get a session from someone like me and don't tell anyone, don't say, which is horrible for word of mouth, obviously, because you would never get any work, but it's like, try not to talk too much about it, because and this used to happen when I'd work on like groups of friends. Okay, you're going to do 10 sessions today because I have all my friends over and we're going to, and if someone got out of a session and they immediately went and told everyone else, then I'd do the next session. They go, well, how come you didn't do such and such like you did for my friend? Or how come this didn't happen? And it's like, I get it now. You can't get into too much detail because this isn't a cut and dry thing. Like every session is different. Even with an individual, this is why I don't remember my session on purpose. If you've gotten a session with me and then you reach out and you want another session, I will vaguely remember we did a session, if that. And if we did, I won't remember anything we did. So you'd have to remind me. Most importantly, because every new session is starting from a new point. I don't want old story. Like the whole point of healing is getting rid of every old story.
They've been different every time. And just to be clear, I don't go, hey, guess what happened in John's session? I just say,
no, I mean, I appreciate that. I know, you know.
Yeah, I know that, but it's good to tell everyone who's listening to this, don't be blabbing about it. But yeah, it'll be like a very, inspired, spirit-led decision.
Most of the time, where I got my word of mouth is people would do this session, they'd go back and their family and friends would look at them and go, what did you do? You look completely different. Yeah. Oh, I got a shaman session. Wait, what? What's that? How do I get it? Right. You know, like that's all you need to say. Like it usually speaks for itself, or you just go, wow, I got a shaman session and it was really good. It was really helpful with without getting into the details of what exactly I did, or because I don't even know what I'm going to do, you know.
Yeah, it was great. Like I said, with the Destiny thing, I didn't even know that was a thing, but it was like, that was awesome.
Should we explain that a little bit?
Yes, because what is it called? Because I've been talking about like he did some Destiny thing. I don't know what it was, but this is what happened, and I'm going to Thailand.
It's really fun. It's so cool. The Destiny Retrieval is based on the idea. Okay. Yes, so it's like a soul retrieval. Everybody people have heard of soul retrieval. You go back to a traumatic event. You change the perception of it from victim to not, or perpetrator to not. Yes. You bring that soul part back. You cure yourself of PTSD or whatever. You don't have the contracts anymore. Great process, huge, powerful healing process, the soul retrieval. We clear the old wounds. We clear the ancestral threads. We clear the entities. We do the soul retrieval. Then at that point, you're kind of like more back to normal or free and in your power, where the next, like the whole purpose of life is to just play like a kid in the theater. What do I want to create next? What script do I want to write? How do I want to play? Your destiny, right? So your destiny is your future, but it's not fated. It's not fate, which is fatal. Destiny is a life affirming, like I, with my free will, can choose what I prefer to experience and pray for it or ask for it or manifest it, however you want to look at it. So you could do that mentally. Like coaching is, tell me what you prefer to be experiencing around your health relationship. This is my ideal future. My ideal destiny would be I'm living, doing this and that. That's like good coaching. Then you go out and you do it. Like, okay, you got to go get off your couch and sign up for the job or whatever. Mythically, it would be a vision board. Okay, now make a picture of all the experiences you prefer to be having. We're all familiar with that.
Yeah.
But the destiny retrieval is saying, hey, you know those patterns and imprints from the past that were influencing you and manifesting things you didn't want? Guess what you can do? You could track into the ideal future, which is infinitely possible, but the most probable of which tends to be aligned with your past until you loosen up the past. It's like those toys with the little fiber optics we played with kids.
Yeah.
It's like the most probable. And we can find through this left eye to left eye tracking, or even just a journey that someone can do on their own. But the shaman can facilitate, once you tell them what you want, facilitate going through your left eye into the past or the future, go into the future, page through all the possibilities, find the one that matches what you wanted, and bring those patterns back into your energy field. So that's what's influencing you. It's like firing on all cylinders. You could do what you're supposed to do, tell me what you want, make a picture of it, but why not go get the energy patterns as well? So to me, it's like the most awesome. But you work up to it. Like you want to be clear of all the other stuff before you do that.
Just important for me to share with people is that I did all the things first. Like I didn't just go to you and day one, I'm like, hey,
like shadow work.
I have entities, but can we give me a destiny retrieval? But you did, we cleared the energy. Then we did the whatever. And then we did that. It was like, you have to do all that work first.
There's a logical and efficient reason to do all that work first. It's maximum efficiency. Like why try to push the thing around when it's loaded? Take the stuff out of the cart first, then turn the truck.
Take the things out of the cart first.
Yeah, no, it's like you're driving down the road with a pickup truck loaded with all your old shit, right? Your old wounds and baggage and myths and beliefs, and you're going this way, but I don't want this future. I want that one, the right hand turn. Well, if you don't unload the truck and slow the truck down and stop time, the velocity to zero, and you just make the turn, everything's going to go flying out the back of the truck, and you're going to roll the truck, and you're going to wonder why healing is such a difficult process.
Yeah.
But you unload everything first. You do the altered state that stops time. You turn the destiny, and you go that way.
I just wanted to state that it's not like a magic fix. You have to actually do the healing work, do the
work.
And you have to do the work.
Grace has the opportunity to come and help you. And then it's the same thing with shadow work, because a lot of people I did my shadow work, and it's like, you can't really do your shadow work until you've done the other healing. You can't embrace the violence in you when you're still holding a wound of being violated or being the violator. So you do all the other healing, and then, oh, by the way, you might be having experiences because you still have shadow, something in you you're judging harshly.
Okay,
and
before I want to talk about that real quick, because I wanted to say, because you said something to me, it was like, why do these entities keep coming back? Why do I keep getting attacked? Why do all these things happen to me? Bad dream, whatever. And you're like, well, what did you say? It was like judgment. If you're still judging yourself, judging out, like there was something.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes. What? Entities, sorcery, jealousy, self-sorcery, which is a huge one, which is really the biggest sorcery. Negative entities, demons, you name it, possessions, like you could go the full extreme, can only get you where you're getting yourself. So people say, oh, I need protection, white light, this, that, the other thing. You can do that. But the minute you judge yourself or have doubts or have a little bit of guilt, you're like opening all your protection and saying, come on in and get me. That
was huge.
I can't emphasize that enough.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most important things you said. Like, I forgot about that, but I didn't realize, like, why these entities keep coming back? And you're like, because of this. I'm like, what?
You left the front door open.
That made so much sense.
Yeah.
So I think that's important to talk about as well, too. Right?
It's so important. And it's one of those things where it's like, look, there's two ways to not feel guilty. One is don't ever do anything wrong or bad. Good luck with that. Yeah. Nobody's capable of that, including saints from, whatever tradition, there are no perfected beings that like don't have violence, cheating, lying. Like we all have being a jerk, whatever. 99.99% of the time, I really want to be the nicest guy you ever met. But if I don't embrace John the harsh, like occasionally I'll slip up and say something a little bit mean to the person who, the barista or whatever, because they got the order wrong, whatever. And it's like, you missed your meeting or whatever as a result.
Yeah.
It's like, if I don't look at that, own it, which is the putting the light on it so it's not shadow, it's not hidden. It's like, oh yeah, John the harsh still exists. And then go, it's not bad. I don't have to keep working on it. I'll never achieve perfection. It's human, and I love it. Then I will no longer run into like really big jerks. Like, in other words, the shadow work is that you'll manifest an exaggeration of the part of you that you're judging in yourself or not even looking at or aware of. So
yeah, that's important.
It's very paradoxical, because it's not like, well, if I embrace that in me, won't it take over? No, you won't end up being a jerk. You'll still want to be nice all the time. You'll stop sending a signal that attracts the exaggeration of your shadow. So that's that. And then so what that helps with, getting back to what you were talking about, is how do you not feel guilty? Well, you either don't do anything wrong, which is impossible, or knowing that you do, but not judging it as bad, because even if you do something hurtful, you don't know enough to know that that person won't benefit from it 10 years down the road. You know what I mean? Like, good seems good, bad seems bad, but we don't know enough of the big picture to really know. Now, again, I don't feel good when I hurt somebody, so I don't want to.
Yeah.
But if I do, it's going to happen somehow, some way. Eventually, you're going to mess up in some way. And so the best trick then is to actually forgive yourself. Like, don't feel guilty. Don't feel guilty. Just go, yeah, I don't want to do that again, but it's okay. I don't know if it won't turn out to be good in some weird way I don't even understand. So I'm not going to judge it. I'm just going to like let it go. That's hard, but that is the only way you will stop from getting entities and energies trying to take advantage and
I'm going
take
to
you
do
down.
that starting right now.
They will take you down. Like, I use the analogy of, I'm standing on the cliff edge going, I'm such a horrible person. I really hurt that person. I did all these things wrong. I'm such a mess, whatever. I think I'll just jump. Maybe I should just kill myself or whatever. And then, the entity, the whatever wants to get your soul and take you will whisper in your ear, yeah, you're definitely a horrible person. Just jump, just do it. And that's the point. But if you're like, nah, I'm good. Like, I'm not perfect, but I'm doing the best I can, and I'm okay, and I let it go. They can't get you.
I love
It's
that.
huge.
Yeah, that's huge.
It's huge.
I'm glad we talked about that.
Yeah. I mean, and watch good. There's a couple of good exorcist movies. One was a true story about a guy from Saratoga, California, that became an exorcist or whatever. And this really came home to me in that movie, because there was one point where they were trying to like get this horrible exorcism, this horrible demon out of this person. And the demon was telling the boy, I remember what you did. You remember what you did when you were young to that little boy or whatever. And it's like, if that priest wasn't like, no, I'm forgiven for that and I'm clear and I'm good, then he would have lost. In other words, it was, they know, these entities know they got to get you to feel bad about yourself, and then they got you. So don't. Like, I don't care how bad you did what you did. I don't care how bad you think you are. If you're a healer, you're trying to be good. You're trying to do good anyway, particularly for us high value targets, us healers. Like, we're juicy, right? If they can get one of us, they did a lot of leverage, right? Take one of us out.
That's what they want. Yeah.
Right. So we particularly know we're trying to do good, and we're not perfect. And we have to like really watch that. And
that's awesome.
Guilt, shame, doubt, self-judgment. Don't do it.
Yeah, that's big. That's huge. So before we go, tell us about your book. Tell us about your things.
Yeah, I got a couple of books. So my latest
Yeah.
book is this Common Threads. This was an attempt to like just create a little more understanding. Like, hey, no matter what anybody's into, it's not necessarily bad. Just learn about it, get to know it. I actually went through and found where all the different religions and all the different traditions and philosophies and science kind of meet. That's been my whole life, trying to
Yep.
find those common threads. So that was my exciting book. Then this one is really cool. Speaking of the Destiny Retrieval, I call
Yes.
it Row of the Future because there's 64 cards as a part of this. These were all, let me see if I can page to some of they're all the card images are in the book. But I did this with a colleague of mine who is tremendously, a student really, who's like
Mhm.
so ridiculously gifted at at journeying, that I said, hey, I want to go as far into the future as possible, find the ideal destiny, even if it's 10,000 years of the future. What would be our ideal trajectory for humanity?
Yeah.
Like we need it. Like we're in, like we need all the help we could get. So clearly, right? So we journeyed well into the future and we got in touch with the masters of that ideal destiny. If there are masters today, the Buddha,
Mhm.
Jesus, the saints, Mary, all
Yep.
these, you name it, Kali, and all. If there's all these masters that we're aware of from like 2,000 years ago or 5,000 years ago, who are going to be those 10,000 years from now?
Hmm.
Who are the healers and the teachers and the shamans and all the people that will be holding space for us then? So
Mhm.
we got in touch with them and they started downloading all the wisdom, all
Wow.
the teachings, and we wrote it down. It's in the book, and then it gave us it started out as these movements, like these different movements to help like the mythic, to like get
Yeah.
it. But then they gave us these symbols as well, and so these
Wow.
64 symbols and their meanings, I made a card deck out of, and then the book describes what it is, and you could use it for a destiny altar. You could, so you pick the cards and put them out,
Mhm.
or you could just use it as a reading. You could pick the cards, ask a question, pick the cards, see what, just like
Yeah.
tarot. Where am I presently? And then adjust. Okay, I'd rather this. Why don't I bring in this and move them around? And so,
That's awesome.
yeah, but as usual, almost like I wrote my original book, um, Dreaming a World into Being, which was all about the shaman, like the Andean, like my stuff. This was 2008.
Okay.
I published this, and as usual, it's kind of like this tarot of the future thing. Like I'm hoping people can resonate with it and get it, but a lot of times it's like it won't be like 15 years later that people go, oh yeah, that makes sense now. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a little bit like sometimes too especially with this person that I worked with, and she's got
Yeah.
a whole nother project she's creating that's another like
Oh,
off
wow.
the charts. Like, oh my God, that's insanely genius. And I'm not sure anyone's going to be able to like follow it at this point because it's like so advanced. Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Yeah, of
That
course.
it's so, but I think it's time. Like this goes back several years now, the Tarot of the Future thing. And I
Mhm.
think it like is pretty pertinent and useful. And yeah, so I would love for people who
Yeah.
especially have these gifts. Like this is wonderful for people who can feel, because the symbols, right? It's all about like these symbols that
Mhm.
in and of themselves, like I had someone create like stones with an etching thing, runes, and I had someone put a
Whoa.
tattoo of one of the symbols on themselves. Like this
Wow.
is like powerful stuff, right?
Yeah.
So that's
Okay.
thank you for asking. That's it.
No, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah. I want to get everything out that I
So
can.
you can get the book on Amazon.
All of them?
I'm not very savvy with all the books are on my Amazon,
Okay.
and then the cards are on this makeplayingcards.com. It's like you have to go to a separate.
Wait, is it
I
on
did,
your website?
yeah, all the links are on my
Okay.
website,
So we'll put your website up there in the show notes and everybody can go visit that and
and
they
if
can
you
book a
got the
session.
book, like I tell people, just start with the book, but it's like this is the barcode that if you scan it,
Okay.
you can get the card. So yeah,
Amazing. That's
yeah,
awesome. Yeah.
it's
That's so
fun.
see, playing in the sandbox.
Yes, more just playing. More playing.
I think
More
everybody
fun.
needs to hear that today for sure. But
And do it your way. Like I love, like, the whole spirit of shamanism is learn from your teacher and then make it your own. Figure out another way to do it.
I
Figure out a
love,
way to do it that works for you. Figure out a way to do it that works better, whatever. Like,
yep,
don't be stuck. This is not about, like, it's not a closed system.
yep.
Creation is still going, and
I
it's
love
all
that.
about taking it to the next place.
That's a great message. Well, thank you so much, Jon, for being here. It was an
Thank
honor
you.
to have you here, and I'm excited for you to be heavily overbooked and
Yeah.
such amazing sessions every time. So I appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, I've got a little bit of a trip coming up and stuff, so I'm
Yeah,
pretty booked and things out till about August, but that's not that far off. So
yeah. As long as you
can
save a
always,
spot for me. Just kidding.
absolutely, always. I can always find a way to
Put me
make
in
things
there.
happen.
Thank you so much for being here, Jon, and I'm excited for things to come. And thanks for all your wisdom.
Thank you, Jen. I appreciate
Yeah.
it very
All right.
much.
Thanks
Appreciate your
everybody
work.
for
It's
listening.
been
Yeah.
amazingly helpful to me as well. My goodness, and my
Yeah.
family. So thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Well, thank
All
you so
righty.
much. And thank you everyone for listening to the Spirit Mentor podcast. And we'll see you next time.